Hi, this installation is of a Linux distribution called Ubuntu. Ubuntu, however you want to pronounce it. This is the long-term service branch, 1804. Now, we're going to do the exact same process with a different DVD to get Ubuntu going on. So the first thing we're going to do is go in and set up our BIOS. Make sure the boot order is correct so that it's going to boot from the CD. Once we're done, we save and exit, and this time it's going to boot from the Ubuntu CD. It comes up and gives us lots of options in languages, but we're going to get English as our primary, so we go ahead and just click on it and say yes. Now, it's up in English. We have two options. We can try Ubuntu without even installing it and have it run off the CD-ROM. That is slow. A CD-ROM is the slowest thing you could run an operating system off of, but you could do it and play with it if you wanted to. We're going to actually go and install it on our hard drive. So we click Install Ubuntu. And hit Enter. Am I still going? I think I'm still going. Oh, there we go. Okay, so once we pick that and we get started, it's going to come up and it's going to be similar to the Windows 10 install if you've already done that. If not, it's a very basic operating system install with a few more options than Windows 10 had. So the first thing says English. Yep, continue. And is it US English or one of the other versions? No, it's US English, so again, continue. What kind of installation are we going to do? There's options here. I always do the normal installation. You get the most stuff, which is still far less room that it takes up on the hard drive than Windows did, which is one of the things I forgot to show you, that Windows takes about 20 gig worth of your hard drive space for the basic install with nothing else on it. And you can look at that when you do Windows if you didn't. Ubuntu takes a fraction of that. You have lots more hard drive space when you're done. I always do the updates and I install the third-party software while I'm doing it, just so it's all done when I get there. Hit continue. So I've got my disk that I just had in, that I installed Windows 10. It will let me install it side by side so I could check which one I want to boot to every single time the computer starts. If you want to do that, you would install Ubuntu alongside Windows 10. I don't want to do that. I want to wipe it completely and start fresh with this drive, so I'm going to pick the second option, erase disk, and install Ubuntu. And I click install now, and last chance, are you sure you're going to wipe the disk? And I said yes. Is this where you live? Yes, we actually live in the New York time zone, if you didn't know that. What is your name and the name of this computer going to be, and the password? So you have to put some kind of password in. I'm using the password here, so I can't forget it. I also click to log in automatically on Ubuntu if I'm going to use it, just so it comes up faster. If you don't want anybody to get on your computer, then don't click that. Then you have to put in the password, especially if you're doing this at home for a home computer. I do want to point out that Linux distributions like this use far less resources than Windows does. So you could take a computer that was running Windows XP and is just old and sluggish, and you're like, we're going to throw this away. Take a free Ubuntu disk, wipe the computer, reinstall Ubuntu, and you'll be like, this is like a new computer. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, I've been running with this terribly slow computer all this time. And it literally will change your life on that computer. So if you've got an old computer at home and you want to refresh it, don't try to refresh it with Microsoft Windows because it will require too much hardware to do that. But this will let you refresh your computer and bring it back to reasonable standards quite easily. This one installs far faster because it's got a smaller footprint on it, so I really don't have to fast forward through Ubuntu to get it to install like I did with Windows. With Windows, I slid all the way from 3% to 48%, which is more like 100%. To get it there, this one just goes and copies almost all of them, and then it's going to ask you when it shuts down to make sure you take out the CD before rebooting the computer, because it doesn't want you to boot right back to the Ubuntu disk and ask if you want to install again. So it does a little stop there in a second on to have you remove that CD. So it's done all the file copying. Now it's copying all the files, and because we clicked that button to download updates and other stuff, it's doing a little bit more. You can see the files. It had to retrieve 147 updates during the install. And now another 49. And now it's installing the drivers for the system. Ubuntu doesn't have every driver that Windows does. So it's very possible with a machine with brand new stuff that you might not have everything work. I actually have never had that happen. I'm just warning you that that could happen, that it may not be able to find the drivers for some things. If they're really, really ancient old or really, really brand new, it may not know what those devices are to install the device driver to get those things to work. Okay, now it says, hey, you need to restart your computer to finish their installation. You hit restart now. Then it's going to come up to this black and white screen and say, hey, make sure you remove the medium, the CD or the flash drive, then reboot. So I go ahead and pull that out. I go ahead and restart my computer, and it goes through the active booting up Ubuntu now. We see a little bit more than we do during Windows, during the actual booting phase, but then we come straight up into Ubuntu. It gives you a little tour of how things work when you first come in, and you feel free to go ahead and take that tour if you want to. If not, I want to show you a couple things. Applications look a little different. The launcher you can go up and down through the list, or you can search for specific applications just by typing in what it's about. So I typed music, and I saw there's a music program called Rhythm Box. The other thing that's really cool about that launch on the left side, I can add or remove things on the launch bar just by right-clicking them. But I have the ability now in Ubuntu with that little activities, installing Ubuntu software. I can go and install hundreds of different kinds of software on there, mostly for free, just by a click of the button. So if I wanted to look for games, I click games. I want to play Mario Kart. That's what Super Tux Kart basically is. It's got an update. It wants me to install. I'm going to go ahead and click and say install now so I can get the update. That's the most recent updates to Ubuntu, and it wants your password whenever you install software on Ubuntu. Just so you know, that's just the password you made for logon, because it won't let you install software without knowing the root or the base password that you set during the initial installation. Oh, and while it's installing, I wanted to show, these are the Office, LibreOffice, or the Office things. They're Microsoft Office-ish. And you can go and set them to save all the documents as Microsoft Office. That's what I'm doing right now. In fact, you might want to go back and do that. All you do is go to the Load Save option there, the General tab, and go down to Always Save As. And you want to save documents as Word documents. And that way you never have to go back and forth. You can just choose Microsoft Word as the default type, set OK, and now every single time you save on this, it's going to be Word. You do the same thing with PowerPoint and Excel. You can say, I don't want to use the open source format. I want to use the Microsoft format. So it's done. I got to restart real fast. You will see how quickly Ubuntu restarts in comparison to Windows here. It's done. That was a Ubuntu restart. And then I can go in and install programs like I was just talking about. So I go to the Ubuntu software tab, and I had to do an update to do the software. That's why I had to do this. And then I can just go and pick a game. I click on it, and this is just a library of stuff. You just click install. It's going to download and install on your computer. And then you can play Mario Kart with your friends because it does work over the network. You guys can play a network mode with multiple people playing against each other. There's a bunch of games like that that are available, and you can see the download and the install happens really, really quickly in comparison to Windows. So it downloaded it, then it installs it, and then it's done. So that's Linux Ubuntu, and it's version 18.04. I really want you guys to play with this for about a week to try using Ubuntu as a primary workspace to see how you guys like it and to give you the experience of using Ubuntu.